Hello sweet beans, my name is Silly and welcome back to the Little Reader's Corner. So today we are talking about Eurovision. If you don't watch Eurovision or you don't understand it, it's a song competition within Europe and the European continent, plus some additions. If you want to know more about it, there's a tons of videos explaining Eurovision, explaining why people are so passionate about it, the history of it, all of that. It's the reason why we have ABBA. I mean, you know, it's all good things. But today I'm going to be giving book recommendations based off of some of the finalists' songs. I'm not doing an exhaustive list. We have a lot of finalists. We have a lot of amazing, unique music, and these are just the ones that came to mind either based off of like how the song made me feel or the lyrics of the song. And these are books that just immediately sprung to my mind when I heard those songs, and I wanted to share them with you. So as I mentioned, not exhaustive. If you have any books that came to your mind when you heard some of these songs, let me know. Let's get into it. So the first one that just immediately sprung to my mind feels very obvious. This is for Austria, and the song is already called Who the Hell is Edgar, and it's referring to Edgar Allan Poe. So already that's kind of what sprung this idea into my mind. And for this one, the book that came to my mind is What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. So this book is inspired by Fall of the House of Usher by Edgar Allan Poe. You see those connections. It's kind of like a really eerie, creepy story. It's definitely not for the faint of heart. The cover is absolutely gorgeous. So it's about a retired soldier who, upon hearing that his best friend is dying, rushes back to their ancestral home. This is out in the countryside. There is a bunch of abnormal fungus that's growing everywhere and going rampant. Maybe The Last of Us vibes. I haven't watched it yet and I've been meaning to. I just have been very busy. So possibly those vibes. There's a mycologist, an American doctor, there's a creepy lake, and that's basically all you have to know. Next up for Cyprus, we have Break a Broken Heart. So there are quite a few books that kind of sprung to mind, but what kind of emulates the lyrics of the song, I think, is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. So this is about a awkward young prince, Patroclus, who is exiled from his home and is raised and brought up in another kingdom where he meets Achilles. Achilles is magnificent. He's a warrior, and they kind of strike up a friendship and things progress, things go awry. And the traditional Greek story is very much within it, but it's kind of broadened outside of that. Next, for Norway, we have Queen of the Kings. This is one of my favorites. And for this one, The Lost Queen by Signe Pike immediately sprung to my mind. So this is basically if you take the atmosphere and the overall environment of Outlander, mesh it with the story or the history of Camelot. This is an untold story about a forgotten, lost queen in the 6th century in Scotland, and she is the twin sister of the man who later inspired the tales of Merlin. This is a story about conflict and love and all of the traditional like medieval fantasy type of stories set in the backdrop of Scotland. So it feels very fitting. We have Tell Me More. For this one, I thought of Meeting Millie by Claire Ashton. All of the little romance details and the yearning and the betrayal that's really conveyed in the song made me think of this book. This book is set in modern day Oxford, and it basically goes back and forth between, I think it's like 15 years in the past and then present day. And it's about Millie and Charlotte. They both were going to law school at the same time. They became very fast friends. They became very close, and there was always kind of this love and this yearning coming from one side, but maybe both sides. They had a big falling out. They haven't spoken in years, and then they stumbled upon each other in a, I think it was like a law school dinner. And they kind of try to pick back up at their friendship. They have all these moments where they think back on the past, and when the past kind of catches up with them. and there were a lot of parallels to the song lyrics and what I thought of with this book. Then for Spain, we have Ia Ia. And this song made me think of City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. There is a lot of imagery of kind of like desert dunes and moonlight shining, and also like a yearning for romance. And those are just all of the vibes that I think encompass the City of Brass. So if you haven't read the City of Brass series, it's inspired by the times of the Ottoman Empire. It starts off in Cairo, and there are jinn, there are magical mythical creatures, old resentments, there's court politics, there's immense power struggles, and all of that takes place in Dayavabad, the City of Brass. And then the last book recommendation I have for you based off a Eurovision song is for France, Évidemment. So this song brought forth a lot of kind of floral imagery, and also the kind of competition between deadly poisonous vines and more floral lively landscapes, and just kind of that power struggle. So I thought of House Apollo by Crystal Sutherland. This book is kind of best described as a haunting modern fairy tale with like essence of horror. There are these sisters who have identical half-moon scars that they don't know their origins of. One day, one of them disappears under really mysterious circumstances. Their appearances are constantly kind of evolving and changing, but they remain like oddly beautiful. And it's just this twisted tale with so many of the facts and the answers hidden, and it's just exactly what came to mind when hearing this song. So those are the books I thought of when listening to some of these Eurovision songs. Please let me know if you've been watching Eurovision, who your favorite is to win. By the time this video is out, the winner is probably already announced, so let me know what your thoughts are on that. Were there any books that you thought of with some of the Eurovision songs this year? But that's it for me, so I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!